Yo, what's up, Avery Pro fam? Archie Daniels here. Just before we start today's video, can I please remind you there is that subscribe button, so if you like our content and want to see more, please click it. Also, guys, if you want to be notified every time we release a new fantastic video, click that bell notification. And finally, guys, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It'd be much appreciated. I hope you've all had a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy! Hey, what's up, guys? Archie Daniels here. You already know who I am. Do you want to introduce yourself, Jay?
Hello, everyone. I'm Jay. I'm going to be. I don't know what I'm going to be. We're just going to talk about. What are we talking about,
What's
actually?
we are talking about? This is a part two to my first video that I did, guys, of the future of artificial intelligence in gaming. That's what we're discussing, Jay. Which should be very interesting. I mean, you are my CTO after all, so if anybody's going to have a bit of knowledge in this area, it's going to be you, isn't it?
Well, knowledge a little bit, but we both have two very different viewpoints of AI
We
within
do,
gaming.
we
Very,
do.
very, very different. I think I'm more neutral to everything in the fact of it. And
I'm like pro AI in some parts, but then not pro AI in
yeah,
other parts.
but for me, I keep our neutral vantage point of what we're going to be talking about. So.
Yeah. Well, let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's dive into this. Well, it might become a debate. Who knows? But let's dive into it.
It won't
And
be a debate. It'll just be a conversation. Let's not say it's a
there
debate. Just talk.
there will be disagreements. So
Oh, there will
I
be.
think
There,
we
there,
can
there
agree on
will be
that.
disagreements, but it's just a nice conversation that we're both having. And it's
Absolutely,
not going to turn into a debate.
absolutely. So first of all, my question is like overall, how do you think AI is progressing? Do you think it is progressing in a positive way, or do you think that there needs to be more regulations to contain its growth?
See, I look at it at two points with it. It's one, we do need regulation to contain the growth of AI just in case we stumble upon anything that we shouldn't. And because at one point it's gonna get too big for there not to be any regulations behind it. Like we've got to regulate it where AI will be safe to use for people
Hmm.
and not just and not we basically the way I look at it is we've got to use it as a tool to help us in every way possible, whether that be a day-to-day life, whether that be in game, whether that be anything. So it's more where we want to take it. I think AI is good for humanity as long as we know how to use it and as long as everyone adopts it in a way where we're not scared of AI, but we more embrace AI. That's my point of view behind AI in day-to-day life. So you tell me your point of view on it.
I mean, my personal opinion of artificial intelligence is I think it is growing way too fast. There isn't proper regulations in place to contain its growth, in my opinion. And lastly, how can you, like I said in my last video, how can you regulate a sentient being? I mean, I just don't think you can because at that point it has its own awareness. You know what I mean? It's its own person practically. So how can you regulate that? You know what I mean? It's like that would be like that would be like an adult telling a kid what to do. But if the kid is of intelligence that's way beyond a kid, how can you tell that person what to do? If that makes sense. So
It does. It does make sense.
I just don't get how you could regulate such a thing, and that is the threat that we have towards humanity. If we create something that is that powerful and that intelligent, are we going to be able to control it, or is that going to be the downward spiral to our own extinction?
You see that's where I see your point of view with it. It's just with anything, it's creating laws, basically. So if you're gonna look at it as a sentient being, as a human being, we gotta look at it as a point of view of law. We've got to create a law so it can do certain things and it can't do certain things. Like if a human, if you like, let's put it down in the basic sense of if a human steals something, there's consequences for that action. It's the way we have to look at AI if it ever grows sentient. It's if AI ever grows to the point. Okay, to answer to look at your first bit of you thinking that AI is growing at a speed that can't. It's not growing that fast in a way. It is growing fast, but there's stages of AI that we haven't even reached yet. So for us to worry about sentient being of AI is still a long way. There's we're trying to right now we're trying to get grips with AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, and behind AGI itself, we still haven't gone that far, and we've just gone to the point of AI where it's more of a sense that one sec. It's more of a sense that where it's giving us information that we need to know. Like we look at like ChatGPT. It's more of an easier way to look for information over it actually having feelings. It actually it learns what we talk about and it improves on what we talk about. But at the same time, it's also a good tool to use for us to be taught anything that we want to learn.
And
And
I
that's the
sup-
thing. So yeah, go on.
and I suppose that ChatGPT in many ways is going to speed. That this is kind of also going. It has its positives. It could help with finding cures for diseases potentially in the future, but also this could help towards game development within games because it
Yeah,
might speed up the coding and stuff like that if this tool can do it for you in many regards.
in many regards it can, but speaking from a developer point of view now with ChatGPT, what people mistaken ChatGPT is all your code's gonna be. It's not. Your code isn't gonna be perfect. You're still gonna have to look over your code. You're gonna have to have someone who's experience has experience in development to understand what that piece of code does because you anyone can make a piece of code like that and be like, okay, this is what it's meant to do. But does it actually do that? That's another thing. It's good for helping you do tedious tasks in development, but to develop a full game, I don't think it's there yet. It's good for a tool if you're learning development and if you're learning how to develop a game, it's a good tool to have for you there to be like, okay, these are the steps you need to take. You follow those steps, and then if you find something wrong with a snippet of your code, you can ask it what's wrong, and it'll give you brief answers to this is what you need to fix and this is the solution you should look at getting.
I mean, I completely agree. Yeah, like relying completely on AI to develop a game would be a terrible idea. But also the other way you could look at it as well is that would basically remove the creativity that's in games because part of game development is the human mind and the
Yeah.
creativity that the human mind creates. And if you use artificial intelligence for everything, artificial intelligence is going to base a lot of the stuff off what already exists. That's
Yeah.
the truth. So there's going to be no new creative ideas being put into it. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, artificial intelligence is good at creating things, but a lot of its creation is based off previous things that have been created. Whereas, so it's not really able to create something brand new, if that makes sense, something completely fresh at the moment. But
No,
that's not to say it won't be able to. But at the moment, the human mind is really the only thing that can give that creative sparkle to a game, in my view.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You see, that's the thing. Yes and no, but AI, there's certain like you. This is the thing. AI. Everyone talks about AI, but there's a lot of steps in game development. Like as you know, as
Mm-hmm.
we've spoke about it in the past.
Absolutely.
Um, you've got to look at 3D modeling on its own aspect. AI has not reached the venture of 3D modeling yet. So an AI can't 3D model something. And then you've got to look at the aspect of rigging. Can an AI rig properly? Maybe yes, maybe no, but you still need people to do it because it's one of those things where it's every ligament in your bone, every phone has to have a section to it. And this is the thing, going in depth with game development and AI in game development, it can help you with if you're making 2D block games, go ahead. AI can help you with that. But if you're looking at creating an MMO, a multiplayer online game, art role playing game that's 3D, that's in depth, and you want certain functionality in it, AI is not the way to go to help you build it, because at the end of the day, well, it can help you build it, but it's not a way where
I mean,
it can create a whole game.
it's gonna have some things in it that can help you, isn't it? But if
Yeah,
you but relying on it completely would be
no,
just a stupid idea, and it wouldn't
yeah,
and it wouldn't create the product that you would want to create anyway in the first place.
no, it won't.
Um,
But that's the thing. It's if you use AI as a tool to help you learn and better yourself, I think that's where people are getting it wrong. Is like we don't use, especially in game. It's like we don't use AI to help us better. Like you can use AI there to track any strategy. Like if you're playing a strategy game, you can use AI to help you with strategies. It
yeah,
can you can tell
because
it what.
it can base it off things that already exist, can't it? So it can use
Yes,
that
but
knowledge
at
and
the
put it
same but
in the game.
at the same time, you can tell it what strategies you've used, and it can create its own strategy because it uses more logic.
Oh, that's
So
quite cool.
AI is good for logic, but not creativity. Anything to do with logic, AI is very good at.
But creativity is still something that
It's
really
still it's still new.
the human mind is really the only thing at the moment that
Yeah.
has the ability to create these magical experiences that we all experience on the big
Yes.
screen.
But that's the thing. It's like looking at things like 3D development and like modeling, rigging. AI, as we haven't ventured across anything like that in AI, so it's something that still needs to be built and still needs to be looked at again. Like, and you'll still always from now, like it'll always be like where can we take AI?
Do you think that artificial intelligence in games will be sentient as well? So I know we talked about sentient beings in general, but do you think that they'll be able to put that into like an NPC, for instance, in the
Yeah,
future?
but this is the thing. It's like watching Free. Have you ever watched Free Guy? Free Guy.
I've seen Free
Yeah,
Guy. That's a perfect example. Do
yeah,
you
yeah.
think that will
It's if we get someone a person like Free Guy in an AI, I think it's more than you'd have to look at the behaviors of what you allow it to do. Again, it's like the learning capable. It can you can look at it as it like, oh, it's going to gain sentient being, but again, sentient being is different with AI because it's still basically the brain's man-made. It's a man-made brain that you've got to create from nothing, basically, so you've got to reproduce the human brain.
I mean, there's one way of one issue with that is we don't understand our whole consciousness, our own consciousness. So how could we implement a consciousness into another being if we don't understand our own completely?
Yeah, but that's straying off going into AI and sentient AI. It's more we've got to look at the behaviors, the decision making we can let it have, the behaviors we let it have. It I don't think it'll be like fully to the point where it has feelings. I don't think so, because like even if you watch Free Guy, like he has certain very basic feelings, but if he gets hit or anything, he doesn't really get hurt. But it's because the code allows him to do certain things. So it's like when he was fighting that the dude catchphrase when they put all
Yeah,
that stuff in the back. It's like he didn't really feel pain if you watched it properly. It's like there was no pain felt because again
it's not
you
implemented in the
have to.
code.
Yeah, it's input. It's not inputted into the code. That's something that you've got to look at. It's like, so for something to be fully sentient, I think it's like it'll learn, but I don't think it'll be fully
But
sentient. Where because
that's what I meant before. Like if we because we don't understand our own brains completely. So implementing something into something completely new like artificial intelligence, how can we do that when we don't understand our own completely? Do you know what I mean? So that's where it baffles me a little bit, because we don't understand our own brain. So how could you put a consciousness into another being where it was fully aware, where it was able to think on its own? Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. I mean, how could you do that?
But maybe it might. This is the way you can look at it as like, oh, we don't know, but we can also look at it. It could be a way for us to understand the human brain better
Hmm.
if we actually create a fully sentient AI and it has consciousness. We got to look at it as like, so if you gave NPC consciousness and it has it's fully developed itself and it understands things and it has feelings and all of that, right? This is where we've got to look at it as it's like we then can understand. So I think it does help us understand the human brain a little more than what we have now. But I think we've got a lot. I think there's a lot of aspects of the human brain we do understand. There's just the consciousness aspect of human consciousness. Like it's hard to understand and
I
put
think I think
forward.
with that though, you then go into different sort of beliefs, don't you? Whether or not it's a higher spiritual being, whether it's
Yeah,
just a brain that's doing it. You know what I mean? There's lots of different viewpoints, and obviously we're not going to cover that in this video. But
no.
obviously there's lots of different opinions over that. But I think
We can well, if this video does do well, we can talk about that in a different video and we can have like a full conversation of it. I think it's a conversation we could have. I don't think it's
appropriate,
necessarily
maybe appropriate on the
appropriate.
channel.
Yeah, what no, it is appropriate on chat. I just don't think it's appropriate to what we're discussing right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we're going off topic anyway.
Yeah.
So you think that, um, in general, you think that it will help towards us understanding our own consciousness, but also you think that it won't have the ability to have strong feelings and all that in the game.
No, no, I don't think it will because at the end of the day, we've got to make it AI in gaming, especially like we're talking about non-player characters, NPCs, behavior and decision making. We've got to keep that separation always because at the end of the day, it's you, there's good ways to use AI. Like if you're fighting an enemy and that enemy learns like because a lot of people in games, right? When they're fighting bosses, they use certain combinations or they use very like, but it's always so similar and you can learn that. So what you could do with AI in a video game is you can add AI to where the enemy learns the behavior of the human and it improves every time you fight that certain enemy. So no
Be
matter
quite
what,
mad, that,
you
wouldn't it?
yeah, yeah, but you'd get rid of this whole idea of having different levels. For one, you create a leveling system where you can level up, but if you fight the same enemy and so, say enemy A and enemy B, you fought enemy A 5 times, you only fought enemy B once. It'll be harder to fight enemy A compared to fighting enemy B because enemy A has already learned and understood what you're going to do. So you have to look at it strategically. So it bring more of a strategic aspect in games as a whole. It'll make games harder to play the more you play it. It's just how much you let it learn, and it's more balancing the rate of speed it's learning everyone's attacks. Because, but and then you have to then incorporate if this player, if player, so you get 5 players and there's 2 enemies, right?
Yeah.
So player one has fought enemy B 2 times, and then player two has fought enemy B 5 times. So it'll be harder for player two to fight enemy B than it should be for player one. So these are the things in game, and if you introduce AI in game, how it can be fair. Because then if it's hard for this one and this one, you don't know the time. So it's gonna be the games are gonna be heavier for one, because you've got literal brains in there that are learning, and it's got to stay in a database in a data set, and it's got to differentiate that data set, and that's where it gets complicated within the game itself. It and I think it could be good, it could be bad, but it could prolong development of
Also,
any game.
what I will say about this is another thing that comes to my mind is obviously as time goes on, games have become more expensive. That's just factual. I think implementing artificial intelligence into games going forward is also most likely going to bring the price up of games because I remember when a game only cost, I think it was 30 quid for a brand new game, then it went up to 50 quid and now it's like 70 plus. So obviously prices go up, so I would say that there is a negative aspect to implementing all these
Oh
new
yeah,
features because paying for a game is going to be a lot more expensive.
but
That's
yeah,
just factual.
no, no, no. See, I agree with that. It will be a lot more expensive because again, it's a lot more time in development of the game. But then you have to look at server usage, data, how much storage. So these are the things what people don't take into consideration and say games. Why games have got more expensive in a lot of sense, just to get a basic for people to get a basic understanding of it, is you need storage and you need to be able to store data. And to store data within servers, to keep the servers running, you got to keep the servers running 24 hours. Then you're looking at electricity bills. Then you're looking at cooling methods, what happen at backup systems. So there's a whole bunch of things that will come into play why video because when games used to a lot of games used to be single player games before they even got into the multiverse realm. Multiplayer realm.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I know. I just realized it's like multiverse. But no, the multiplayer realm. And this is the thing. It's like what a lot of people don't understand is that when we made that jump from single player to multiplayer, it created a huge gap for ICE because of storage, because of servers. It's like if you look at these lower games, there's like three ways you can have games. You can have single player games. You can have You can have two types of multiplayer games. It's one that's on like GTA is run on a server that's stored somewhere else, but then you've got games like Icarus, Lethal Company. Lethal Company is one of them. One person hosts it, so it's running through the data on your computer, and then you can have all your friends on that same server. So basically, it turns your computer into a server.
Which
That's
is
why certain
pretty neat, that isn't it?
it is. It's really cool. It's. I won't bore anyone with the details because
No,
it
it's
it's
probably a long ass story, isn't it? Let's be honest.
it's not a story. It's more of the process of how it works. So that's something that we've got to look at as well. So it's the whole thing of like having servers, how many people can be on one server without the server crashing, without the server lagging, and that's the things we've got to look at in a whole aspect of a game and developing a game. That's why like if you add AI to it, yes, the games will be more expensive, but that's because more storage is needed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as I say, like with artificial intelligence also being implemented into these servers, that's also gonna put more pressure on the servers. I would imagine. Am I
Yeah.
right?
It will
Um,
be because it's always learning again. So there's more data that it's collecting.
and surely these servers are gonna have to be updated to be able to handle the things like
Oh yeah.
artificial intelligence and new learning. Because I would imagine a lot of the servers to today that we have for games don't have the capabilities of what artificial intelligence would require. Am I right?
I think they do. It's just again
Oh,
another you it's more trial and error with it.
I
That's
see.
the whole thing. Right, if we look at it from a technology technology standpoint, we have the equipment to do it. We just don't have the knowledge on how to incorporate it yet. That's what
I
we're gonna learn.
I'm quite shocked by that because I would have imagined like artificial intelligence, for it to be able to do the things that it does, like collect new information, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It would need a server that could give it that capability, because at the moment aren't servers primarily just to store players on
Nope.
rather than anything else. They're not. Wow. This is why I brought Jay on, guys. This is why I brought Munster, because he's all technically minded. I've just done some research in some areas, and you learn something every day, I think they say.
Again, what you say, servers are data storage for storing data.
Like
So
players.
yeah, like players is data. Your saves are data. And that's the thing. It's like we've got the technology and the power to do it. It's just the knowledge. Like I said, it's just the knowledge of how to implement it is we lack. And as well, it's like we've also got to look at it from a whole standpoint of everyone who games, how they would react to all of these changes with AI in games. Because
It's a
what's
pretty
the
it's a
point?
pretty big
It's
transition, isn't it?
it's a big transition, and this is the thing. What we I think we need to talk about is how it would affect gaming, and how would it affect games, because you're separated with the pro gamers, and then you've got casual gamers, and then you've got different type of gamers, people who don't want to do much, people who just want to chill. And these are the things. It's like I don't think casual gamers would enjoy games with AI in it because of how difficult it'll get throughout the way. But you never know, they might like the challenge, and that's the thing. It's like we'd have to create games and levels in different categories, so there's a lot of things to look into while developing a game. It's just implementing certain things is how we're going to do it.
I think that comes also with the option of maybe having like you can turn your difficulty from easy to medium to hard. Maybe having
Yeah,
an option where you can turn off artificial intelligence
yeah,
parts.
I think you they'll that option will be implemented in, but again, it's like, then why did you spend that much on the game? You've got to argue that. So this is the thing you've got to look at, is like, what's the point of buying the game with AI if you're just going to turn the AI off?
But I think as well the experience of the game is going to be a lot better compared to what games like now, because by the time artificial intelligence is implemented into games over a large, over everything pretty much, games
Yeah.
are going to be a lot more advanced. I mean, it's probably going to be mid next gen, the middle of next gen, before we're starting
No,
to see this sort of stuff. Well, I
I
don't.
think
I
it'll
mean,
be
we're already
longer.
halfway. We're already halfway through this gen already, aren't we? So
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be mid next gen, because again, we've got to look at it
that's
from a
2032. 2032. So I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's what, that's
it
8 years
depends.
away.
It depends. It depends. Again, it's more like you have to make that slow transitions for people to adopt it. It's like a lot of people, when they rush from single player to multiplayer games, the adoption was quick because people wanted to play with their friends. That's the whole thing. And then, but do people really want to play with AI in the game?
I think it'd be
That
pretty sick.
I think, yeah, there'll be people who think it's amazing, but there'll also be people. Again, we've got to look at from both spectrums.
I just
There's
think
people who are gonna
sentient
be,
would be a bad idea, because having a sentient being within the game might bring more regulations, and more
yeah,
regulations hinders the gaming experience, in my
but
view.
yeah, but I don't think you'll ever get to the point where there's going to be a sentient AI in a game. I don't ever think that's going to happen. I don't think they would do that, because at the end of the day, you have to separate the sentient AI from game, because then you've got to separate. You have to create this whole separation of what we're going to use sentient AI for and what we're going to use AI games. So there's different types of AI, and we've just got to make sure we follow what different type of AIs are being used. It's like what people don't realize. AI has been incorporated from early, and you have an iPhone. I have an iPhone. A lot of people have iPhones. And what people don't realize is Siri is an AI.
Siri is AI, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's AI. Yeah, yeah.
But Siri is a very small, simple AI.
It's like Alexa, isn't it?
yeah, Alexa's an AI, but everyone's like, oh, but this it's. But this is the thing. This is why everyone's freaking out. But that's what they did. Again, we need to create that same concept and put it in games. It's that slow build up of having AI because we went from Siri, Alexa, then suddenly we got ChatGPT now.
Right.
Everyone's now having the norm of ChatGPT being there. And you put this in games as well. First, it starts with one NPC who's AI who learns what you're looking for, what type of missions you want to do, what type of what type of fighter you are, and it learns these things, right? So let's put it for if you're playing GTA 6 and there's an NPC AI and it could to ask you what type of person you and it's learning, that's still AI, but it's just it's on a smaller scale and it's a more simple-minded AI. And then it'll just randomly say, "Do you want to do this mission?" So it's just like these small incorporations that we've got to look at.
I think again, I understand that completely. It's transitioning the consumer
Yeah,
to a fully AI population in games eventually, potentially. But also, what I would say is, like, like I've realized there's a lot of movies coming out about artificial intelligence recently. Most recently, the film Megan, and I kind of feel like these are also other things that they use to kind of get the public's mind like transitioning into the possibility of artificial intelligence being around
yeah,
everybody's lives day to day.
uh, but they've done it for ages. Okay, let's go back
Well,
to
Terminator, yeah.
yeah, go back to Terminator. Let's not go back to Terminator. Let's go back to the most recent one like that was a big blockbuster movie that earned millions.
Which one was that?
The whole Marvel franchise, Iron Man, Jarvis.
It's a good point, actually. Yeah, yeah.
So these are the things. It's those little transitions we need to make, especially in games.
But it's like if you implement something so drastically different straight away, sometimes you might cause unpredictability from the public. The public,
Yeah,
might not be able to handle it, and that's why
yeah.
it's really important about programming because our brains are programmed. That's why it's super important to use things like
Again, it's not programming. It's just getting people used to it. It's giving them that soft transition to being like, "Hey, this is a good idea. This is what we think is a good idea. Do you think it's a good idea?" And if people use it and start being like, "Oh, this is a great idea," like when ChatGPT first came out, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna because AI is taking." But no, this is the whole thing. Is like it's incorporating it to make our lives better and for us to do things that we thought we couldn't do. And that's the thing. It's like we've got to look at all these tools that are coming out now to help better our lives instead of dragging them down.
I
And
think
that's the thing. It's same with the games. It's to give us a better gaming experience.
they said the same with mobile phones, Jay. When smartphones first came out, people were saying, "Oh, this is gonna cause all these problems," and then people now can't live without their phone, pretty much.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's all because it's a new idea. It's scary for people.
Mm.
It's a very scary thing, especially if you're looking at it in games. It's like what we got to look at is like how does AI contribute to the realism and immersion of an open world game? We got to look at that. That's something that so we feel like we're interacting, but then it's that we don't make the difference of if it's actually a real person or if it's a computer. That's
The,
where it gets to the point of like where people are gonna be like, that's something you've got to look at with the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, you and it again, it's more if you're gonna put AI in video games, what is it there to do?
Is it there to
If you
make? Is it there to bring more immersive experiences to the player, or is it there to be used as a tool for the game to be made quicker or something like that? So it
yeah,
just depends on what you're using it for. That does go on to my next question, though, Jay,
okay.
about
We
about
spent like we spent how long on that one question? And we went on a tangent on that
uh,
question. Let's go. Let's go to the next one.
it's
Come on.
such an interesting
It
topic,
is.
though.
It
It
is.
does
It
send
is.
you on like a tangent onto
Yeah. Yeah.
different things, doesn't it?
But that's the thing. It's like it's giving people that understanding of what we can truly achieve as the human race. That's
And
what
that,
I.
yo guys, sorry for interrupting this video, but I've got an important announcement to tell you all. We're affiliated with a company that is offering a game development course. That's right, guys. This thing covers AI, Unity, Unreal Engine, ChatGPT, you name it, it is in here. So if you're an aspiring game developer and want to know how to get stuck in, this is the course for you. This covers on how AI is used in game development. It'll cover on how to use Unity, on how to use Unreal Engine, ChatGPT, the full shebang, guys. It is in this course. It is $49.99. I'll convert it to British pounds up here, guys. I definitely recommend this course, guys. I mean, if you don't know how to get into game development, then this is the thing for you guys, because there's lots of people who wonder, how the hell do I get into a game development company? How do I start my own games? Well, this will tell you all of that information, guys, and it will give you the knowledge you need to be a successful game developer. So if you're interested, guys, I'll leave the link down in the description. Go and give it a look if you're interested, and yeah, let's get straight back into the video. And that's what I was just saying, like, my point was with the whole thing was, they use things like movies, games, and all that to sometimes get us used to the idea of something being
Yeah,
implemented into the real world, and that's what they've been doing for a very, very long time. And I can't believe I didn't think of Marvel. I should have thought of Marvel because like I'm a big Marvel lover, so I
exactly.
can't believe
So,
that didn't
so
come to
see,
my head.
these things. Okay,
Absolutely,
we're going
music.
off
We
tangent.
are music,
Stop.
music.
No, we're not talking about music
No,
now.
no, no. What I'm going to say is music. So, music in games is a big part these days, especially with the likes of Death Stranding, because they had a lot of music in that game. Um, Artificial intelligence is starting to be able to make music, make backing tracks without the need of a producer. So, do you think that this will be used to make gaming albums quicker?
Yeah, it will. Yes, no, definitely. But again, like I said, you'll still need some. You can say that it can create music without a producer. Again, it will still need human interaction.
Well, yeah, like
It
a
will.
singer.
Yeah. Not a singer in the sense you can create songs with AI and it uses a voice and everything. Yeah, it's not that. You still got to mix and master it.
Yeah. So human interaction will still be needed,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
will.
I think it's definitely going to change because I think the music is such an important part of a game. I think,
Yeah.
well, it is. I mean, it's one of the first things that I think they create for games is the actual music.
I don't think so. I think they create the prototype of the game before they get because there's no point of creating music for a game if you don't have a prototype to understand how to play the game.
All right.
Because then
Well,
you can't. This is the thing again. If balance, you got to balance it out. It's like you have the prototype of the game, and then you got the music behind it
I was
because you got to
only
do little sound.
I was only basing off what Hideo Kojima said because you know Death Stranding, yeah.
Yeah,
He actually created the music first, which kind of gave the cast and the developers a bit of inspiration of how he wanted the world, apparently,
yeah.
which I
But
thought was
it
an
happens
interesting aspect to look at.
again. Again, that's your human mind creating something from the steps that it wants to create things from.
But you see, so do you think that human interaction will always be required to create music for games, or do you think that
Yeah.
eventually he
No,
does?
I
Yeah.
think I think I think you can't. The way you got to look at it, it's again, it's a tool to help you develop things quicker. But you also need the humans there to help. So you got to look at it like it's a tool. You can't look at it like it's going to take over because then what's the point? Then you go into a whole. This is why this can't like talking about AI can't be done in one video. It's like
No, it's such a big topic, guys.
yeah.
But I thought it's a good. I definitely that's why it needed a part
It's a
two.
good yeah, but I'm gonna tell you now. This is gonna have a lot more episodes to it because there's a lot more, especially with games
Hmm.
you can talk about. But music in games is 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 a good is a good example of why you still need human touch because for the AI to even create the music, not you don't have a deep under like both of us don't have a deep understanding to music like how to type of sound good with other sounds, and like what symbols go with what, and you like if you have a drum set or things like that, what type of kick you want to use, what type of snare you want to use, because there's different type of snares. You want a hard snare, a soft snare, and then you've got like different things that you've got to look at to create. That's why you will always need human touch with music, because you if you don't have that, you lose the creative you lose the creativity.
And also, in general, music's really important for people. So I kind of feel like without that music, without that human like implementation, I kind of feel like that it removes the meaning of what music has in a way. Because if an artificial intelligence has just done it, then there's no emotion there. Whereas with a human person, there's been emotion added to that music,
Yeah,
just in games and in music in general. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like, as I say, Death Stranding is it's not my favorite game of all time, but the music in that game was outstanding, and
Oh yeah.
you could definitely feel the emotion that was implemented into that soundtrack. And I kind of feel like if you added artificial intelligence
You lose
completely
that.
to music, you lose the emotion absolutely, because artificial intelligence doesn't, well, as far as we're aware, it doesn't have emotion, it doesn't have
No,
feelings.
it's not even as far as where as of right now, there's no emotional feelings in technology
But
like that.
there probably will never be. But what I'm trying to say is, in the future, we can never be 100% sure
Yeah,
because
in
we.
the future, there's no doubt. But right now, let's not speak about the full future of that. It's just right
Yeah.
now there's none.
But like as I say, at the moment, if artificial intelligence was useful, I think it would remove the emotion we
Yeah,
have for music, and that's just fact.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I've got one final little segment that I want to cover, and then I think we're going to cut it off on this video because there's just too
It's
much.
too much to cover.
There's just too much like we to cover in this video. So we're definitely going to be we're definitely going to be doing more um, videos to cover
Yeah,
more aspects because I think the people deserve it and need it. Uh,
yeah.
this is probably one of my favorite segments, to be honest, Jay. And I think you know what I'm gonna say. Destruction. How is artificial intelligence going to add to destruction physics in the future of games? Because surely it'll play a part.
Again, you don't need artificial intelligence to do this. It can happen, but it's like
But how can it make it easier? Because from one standpoint, you think if destruction physics was so easy, and if they could be implemented into the likes of Call of Duty and everything right now, they would have been. But a lot of game developers don't do it. Is it because of the hassle and all that? Would artificial
it.
intelligence make
It's
it
more
easier?
no. It's more that it's too much. If you're looking at games like Call of Duty, which are first-person shooter games, they're more focused on you killing someone. They don't care about the whole. If I throw, no one's thinking, especially if you're playing like shooting games, no one's thinking of like throw this grenade, and then while you're playing it, and then next thing you know, the room gets all destroyed.
Mm,
Like if you look at a live grenade that's thrown into a room, it doesn't destroy much.
no.
It kills people, it does, but it doesn't have that big of a destruction. So it's that balance of you wanting to have destruction in the game, but how much of it is realistic
But
destruction?
what I'm trying to say is that's a good point. But what I'm trying to say is could artificial intelligence make it easier to implement these things in the future?
Oh yeah,
Because I
it
say you're
can.
saying it's a hassle at the moment, as you say, for game developers.
Yeah,
So could artificial intelligence be used to make more realistic scenarios,
it,
i.e., destruction, as an example?
yeah, but it can. Okay, it can do that. That. But the issue is it worth it? That's the question you've got to think about. It's like it's more, yes, it's possible for AI to improve that, for artificial intelligence to help. Like again, like I said earlier, it's there to help us create, to make our lives easier, to help us create different things. But at the same time, we've got to look at it as a whole of destruction in games. Is it worth it?
Well,
really.
yeah, it depends on what the game is. Because if it's the likes of Just Cause, it'd be perfect for a game like that.
Well, yeah,
Because
yeah,
Just Cause is about destruction. You know what I mean?
yeah, but
Or Battlefield,
yeah,
as another
but again,
example.
it's how much destruction do you want? And again, this will then make games more expensive again, because then you're adding AI. That AI has, and then you've added destruction. So it will AI will make that part easier. It's just, is it worth it? Because then what you got to look at it, if you look at it
The
from
cost.
coding logic is like, if this house is destroyed and then the next time and you, like, let's say you're playing something like Rust, right? You can build and there's destruction in the game. So in survival game there's a lot of destruction, but then you have to put the timers on, like if you chop a tree down, how long will it take to grow back up within game time?
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to look at it, and it's the balancing of that that's more hectic for it. It's the small tedious tasks that make it harder to do than actually implementing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's certainly something that I think a lot of games could definitely benefit from artificial intelligence
Yeah,
helping with destruction. But I get your point that there's lots of games out there that could have destruction, but would it really be something that
worth
people
it.
would
Yeah,
take
it
notice to?
would it would it be worth it? Like, the AI will make it easier. It's just, if you want to talk about destructibility of a game, I think it has to be its own separate topic, and it can't be, because again, with the AI implementing into AI, it's like
I was
AI
just
can make it
wondering.
easier.
I was just wondering whether or not it would make it easier because
It
as
will,
it's
it will. Like, from a whole point standpoint, it will make it easier to implement, but it's just, and create. It's just, you've got to look at the other side of the coin, as, is it worth it?
it depends on the game, I guess, doesn't it? As you
Yeah.
say, and I say for something like Just Cause, it could really benefit from artificial intelligence
But
helping
again,
with
are they
that
going to
sort of
make a
stuff.
new? Are they going to make a new Just Cause?
That is the question. I think that there are talks about them making
I
one
don't know.
more, but
That's, I don't really
that's a whole
look into it.
different topic.
That's a
But
whole
yeah,
different topic.
but
But
yeah,
again,
thank you so much. Like, go on, were you about to say something?
no, I
Oh,
won't.
okay. Thank you so much, Jay, for coming on and talking about this. We all appreciate it. You might know Jay, the Forgotten Jay. He's on our live streams when we game, so go and check his channel out. The link is in our YouTube bio. The Forgotten Jay, it is am I correct?
Yeah,
Forgotten
it is
Jay.
the Forgotten J.
We're gonna be streaming at the end of this month. Back to streaming, which we're really excited about.
And
Uh,
let's put it out there right now, so everyone knows I am better than you at gaming.
Okay, okay. That is debatable, Jay. But we're gonna
We,
cut
we,
this.
we- no, we know this. This is true.
Corn Reaper never dies, Jay. Corn Reaper
Yes.
never dies. But guys, thank you so much for watching as usual. Thank you, Jay, for joining us. We're gonna probably think we're gonna do a part three of this.
Yeah,
We'll
we got to. We have to. We can't just do a part two
definitely
and not continue it, because there's a lot more. Like, we got to. There's a lot of questions we got a lot to look at. It's like, how do game developers balance AI difficulty, and like, so we can look into more of the functionality later on.
absolutely, absolutely. And also, guys, one more thing. Comment if you have any questions, because obviously for me, I'm not very technically minded when it comes to stuff like this. Jay is more technically minded. So if you have any questions for Jay, just leave some comments down below. We'll collect them, and on the next video, we'll have a segment where we will put the people's questions to Jay, and he'll be able to answer them for you. But except for that, guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.